As a game developer who worked as game engine and tools developer on Helldivers 2, I've always had a special interest in YouTube's gaming and game developer community. While learning C++ programming, I watched Cherno. Danny was my go-to for game design, and for math and physics, I just smashed my head into a wall. However, one I always avoided was PirateSoftware. No, not the practice. I did that when I was a kid. I'm talking about the content creator PirateSoftware.
They can eat my entire ass.
Also nicknamed Thor. Some of you may know Thor as Guy, who explained very simple basic concept with serious voice and big words in MS Paint, making him seem like very smart person. And that, dear viewer, is how you kidnap children. Maybe you know him as Guy who allegedly cheats in puzzle game streams to seem more of an intellectual.
He's being exposed for cheating puzzle game playthroughs now. It's blowing up again.
You've possibly seen him blame,
If we have that kind of a mistake again, I'm disbanding the party. I'm gonna go run with other people, because you guys cannot do that again.
rage,
God damn it, guys.
and whine.
Just lost 4 hours of crafting materials. Yeah, that kind of sucks. Of course I'm gonna be a little bit upset about that.
Against his supportive viewers for being terrible at a game after someone accidentally attacked an NPC called the Ocular, which then killed their entire team.
God damn it, guys. So one of you pulled the Ocular. Why? Now half the raid is dead. Oh, I swear to God, I'm gonna go back in the video and find out who pulled that damn thing, kick him out of the raid. That is insane shit. You have to be better than that. And we just lost all of those materials because you're not paying attention. This is basic shit. That is insane shit.
Yeah, how dare you attack the Ocular, you stupid, dumb, moronic.
Thor pulled it in a clip. Link.
Oh wait, what's that? He was the guy who wrongly attacked the Ocular? Making it his fault everyone died? Gee, I wonder how he's gonna apologize for being so toxic to his supportive viewer base for no reason whatsoever.
I'm not at fault there. I'm correct there for doing that. 100%. That is not on me. No.
Okay, actually getting everyone killed and wasting 4 hours of time was a good thing. Now don't you dare question it or you'll get banned.
This guy sounds like he takes criticism well. You sound like you want to talk to me about it in the unban request. You're just shit stirring. I'm just gonna get rid of you. Swear to God, I'm gonna go back in the video and find out who pulled that damn thing, kick him out of the raid. That is insane shit. You have to be better than that.
On Twitch, he's known as the kindest, most supportive, and knowledgeable game dev programmer. Even though he has threatened to sue an indie developer on false grounds, and his codebase would have made me fail my first year at university for my game development bachelor's. And if you don't know him from any of that, then you might know him as a guy who worked at Blizzard.
I worked at Blizzard, so when I first started at Blizzard, I worked at Blizzard for 7 years.
I know, he rarely mentions it. I'm just kidding. He mentions it all the time.
Blizzard. But for Blizzard, this is 100% your worst take ever? No, it's not. You know what I did before this? I worked at Blizzard Entertainment.
Now, having worked on Helldivers 2 at Arrowhead Game Studios, I understand taking pride in your work. Hell, I opened this video sharing that pride, and every few months, I'll rewatch my 5 seconds of delivering democracy in their April Fool's video. And now I'm a YouTuber and my entire life is an April Fool's video. Aww. Especially when my contract is making me do an ad read at the start of my video. Wait, no. With today's video sponsor Fume. Fume is a flavored air device designed to help you get rid of bad habits and replace them with better ones. Fume uses plant-based cores with only natural ingredients to give you flavors like peach blush, maple pepper, or my favorite, crisp mint. There is no stanky smoke, no vapor, no addictive nicotine, just naturally flavored air that gives you something to reach out for without the chemicals. I personally hadn't heard of Fume before they reached out to me, but I'm glad they did, because ever since I was a kid, I've had the bad habit of nail biting whenever I'm really stressed out. And with everything going on in the world right now, that's basically all the time. So after a few weeks of having used it, my nails have finally stopped looking like chip paint, because with its satisfying fidgety design, I have something else to fixate on. Now I just gotta buy a nail clipper. With over 500,000 customers, thousands of success stories, and their continuous investments in third-party studies to ensure the safety of their products, I take my Fume everywhere I go. And right now, if you order the Journey Pack using my code Soggy Cereal, you'll get a free Fume topper. So if you've been thinking about changing your habits, this is the perfect first step. Go to tryfume.com/soggycereal or scan the QR code on screen to grab yours today. As you'll see with Thor, there's a pattern where the line between pride and hubris start threading really real thin, especially when he's caught making a mistake, which I wouldn't have such a problem with if he just owned up to them, and if he wasn't so condescending whenever someone else makes one. But he doesn't.
I'm not at fault there. That is not on me.
And he is.
Eat my entire ass. That the level of stupid that I just had to receive was like sitting on Twitter for 12 hours. A really stupid ass move. That's an incredibly stupid ass move.
Nonetheless, I never quite felt like making a video on him because everything bad he did always seemed trivially obnoxious in itself, but after what he has done to an initiative I deeply care for, well, now those toxic instances formed a pattern not just plaguing Thor, but one reminding me of everything I hated about the game development industry, which I wish to unravel. So let's start talking about
Stop killing games.
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 For the past decade or so, game publishers have taken it upon themselves to take the entire right of ownership of their games from the buyer's hands and keep it in their own hands with the use of licenses, making it so that if one day they now decide to pack up shop and go to the Bahamas, well, they can take away access from everyone who has ever bought their games. You can see this in the license agreements from scummy, greedy companies like Blizzard, saying, Blizzard reserves the right to terminate this agreement at any time for any reason or for no reason with or without notice to you. EA states that if they decide to shut down a game or service, well, they'll tell you at least 30 days in advance, after which you can go fuck yourself, because after online service termination, they can't guarantee their games will continue to function. With Ubisoft, this license confirms no title or ownership in the product. Ubisoft may terminate this agreement at any time for any reason, and Ubisoft abused their practice in 2024 when they took their servers offline for racing game The Crew, a game with a mere 12 million registered players who now, after buying it, all lost access because you could not play without a server connection, causing immense community backlash. So inspired by the train wreck caused by The Crew, or guess I should say car wreck, a passionate creator, Ross Scott, who runs a YouTube channel, Accursed Farms, started the Stop Killing Games initiative, with its current goal being to introduce European legislation that prevents publishers from leaving their games in an unplayable state at the end of their life cycle. All it asks is to just have publishers leave games in a reasonably functional and playable state before shutting them down. And to even get this off the ground and in front of the eyes of European lawmakers, it needs at least 1 million signatures. Now, I care deeply for this. I signed the petition not only because I grew up my entire life playing video games, needing that escapism during a not so fun upbringing, but even if I didn't, I still believe in basic consumer rights. A publisher shouldn't have the ultimate decision to permanently take it out of existence just because it's not as profitable to the shareholders anymore. And I wish to believe most people share that ideology, including PirateSoftware.
It's incredibly important to me that we keep making games and that the next generation has the tools to do so that our medium doesn't die out. And it never will. And that's the whole intention of all of this.
Of course he does. He's such a good guy. Wait, he said what 5 seconds later?
This is shit. It's shit. Oh shit, no, this is actually really dumb. That's awful, dude. Eat my entire ass. The level of stupid that I just had to receive was like sitting on Twitter for 12 hours. This shit sucks. That's a really stupid ass move. That's an incredibly stupid ass move. I think this is ass. This is complete garbage. All of this can eat shit then.
But why? Thor not just criticizes, but bashes and demonizes Stop Killing Games.
As you can imagine, we've been less than thrilled that Thor here has become the dominant voice of the campaign.
And I wouldn't have such a problem with that if the majority wasn't straight up misinformation and there wasn't such a conflict of interest. See, the initiative wishes to see that any game that requires purchase or subscription fees and a server connection to remain playable after a company shuts down their server. This self-evidently includes live service games, which are games that continuously receive new content to keep higher player retention, multiplayer games, and amongst other categories, single player games who now often, because companies hate us, require a constant or with interval server connection as anti-piracy measure, which we call a DRM. Damn you, Hello Kitty Island adventure. So when Thor started saying things like,
For those who don't understand, the Stop Killing Games initiatives is basically we don't want single-player games to have DRM that the developers can turn off and thus render the single-player games inactive anymore. This is what they want to change.
or
It is vague. They need to be specific that they're talking about single-player games that do not need a server to support them.
Misrepresenting to his millions of viewers that the initiative's language was too vague, that actually they're only referring to single-player games with online DRM, which they aren't. That with this vague language, it would ruin live service games.
Would have to sunset live service games as a single-player experience. The idea that suddenly you need to make every single live service game playable single-player offline? No, dude.
Correct. No.
Even though Stop Killing Games founder Ross Scott disproved that claim, PirateSoftware going as far as saying what the initiative is asking is so fucking stupid and outrageous, it made him angry like a little tiny toddler.
That video made me actually mad. Like real mad. Not like fake memes mad, like actually mad. Like, I'm actually mad.
To the point he said he wasn't just not gonna back it, he was actively going to boycott this consumer right movement.
Not only do I not want to back this, I'm gonna actively tell people not to.
And so, people wondered why he'd do that? I mean, even Ross was interested in having a conversation about it and left a comment on PirateSoftware's video to correct the misinformation he was spreading. His comment got deleted and the request for a conversation denied.
I reached out to him.
Would you consider reaching out and talking to Ross about it? No. And the reason why is because I found his entire statement over the YouTube incredibly disingenuous. It's used car salesman garbage.
Yes, Thor, Ross Scott, the average used car salesman who spends months to fight for consumer rights. For free. I've seen him say some dumb, pretentious shit, but knowing the initiative doesn't even take donations, its founder being on YouTube even before it was profitable and has been advocating against killing games for at least 6 years, makes this one of the dumbest. See, but Thor works as a strategy director at a publishing company called Off-Brand Games, and a publisher's goal is usually not to create or develop a product, but to make sure sales are as high as possible and that the product is profitable. Now, at the time the initiative launched, well, Rivals of Aether 2 was in development with Off-Brand Games as its publisher. And Rivals of Aether is a live service game, so when Thor said this...
If we don't like the idea of live service games as a whole, I get it. It would impact every live service game that exists.
Well, people noticed he was acutely aware of the possible hurdles a game he's helping publish might face if regulation laws were introduced. So trying to entirely twist the initiative's message...
It is vague.
And kill it...
Not only do I not want to back this, I'm going to actively tell people not to.
And completely discredit Ross.
It's used car salesman garbage.
Could be seen as beneficial for him.
I am just trying to get this initiative passed. If that means I have to get insulted all along the way, okay.
This shit sucks. Eat my entire ass.
I'd recommend watching Ross's video if you want more details on just how far PirateSoftware went to boycott this entire thing. But what makes me angry most of all is firstly how after all this came to light, he still quadrupled down on most of what he said even though he was disproven multiple times. Then started banning and blocking anyone even slightly critiquing him. But also how he tried to guise it as being a selfless hero.
Because I don't want, and this is the real one, I don't want the government telling indies that they have to have their live service game stay online forever. I don't want that. Nobody wants that. But when you're talking about a legal setting to force people to do this, you're generally moving in that direction.
He just doesn't want indie developers experiencing legal trouble. Which is very ironic coming from the guy who, unbeknownst to most, threatened to sue a solo indie developer.
Hey, Kronos, we have to file a legal complaint against that dude earlier. We're gonna take you to court. You're going to lose.
Maybe I should talk about that for a second. As many of you may know, a few months ago, a group of content creators formed a guild called Fangs in World of Warcraft Classic Hardcore, a game where if you die on a character, you lose that character permanently. PirateSoftware was part of this guild, playing as a mage. Now, not only was he known for pretentiously mocking new players and bullying other mages in the guild, going as far as to say watching them play made him physically sick because obviously, he's not like the other stinky noobs. He is best player out there, cause...
You know what I did before this? I worked at Blizzard Entertainment.
Okay, well at one point, when he and his teammates were streaming and got themselves in a dangerous situation, most of the team tried helping each other survive, while Thor, you know, the guy constantly boasting his hitherto undreamt of skills, ran away and said there was nothing he could do.
Pirate, why are you walking, bro?
What are you talking about? Why am I walking? Look at my mana.
This is savageable. Come on, man.
Do you see my mana? What am I supposed to do for you?
Now, I'm not nearly unemployed enough to care about any of that. It's what happened afterwards that started showing his true character. So he was caught lying about his resources, actively wasting them while running away, so he could then claim that there was nothing he could do. And then when confronted, even though there was video proof, still lied about it, blamed everyone but himself, became extremely hostile towards anyone critiquing him
because they're goddamn insane. Because this guild has turned into a content guild built on hate. Because they're freaking monsters, dude.
Again, banning and blocking people left and right. Even in debates with team members, he would make everyone respectfully listen to his side thoroughly. But then from the moment other members wanted to share their perspective, left the call like a little child.
Yell over another person
listen,
like you
can
were doing
I
earlier?
speak?
Nah, I'm good.
You
See ya.
He eventually got kicked out of the content creator guild, not because he made a mistake, no one really cared about that, but because just as with Stop Killing Games, he went in acting as a person with the most skill and authority, ended up shitting the bed, then kept lying to try save grace, and when exposed, acted like a fragile ego toddler getting reprimanded for sticking crayons up his nose, then angrily insisted the adults around him put them there. Anyways, getting to the lawsuit thread, at the time, an indie developer was working on a simple parody game ridiculing embarrassing streamer moments, such as a Pokimane for streamer cookies controversy, or XQC for, being XQC. And uploaded a recording of his game on Reddit, including PirateSoftware as a cockroach.
As much as you're angry right now, of course I ran.
Which, in the World of Warcraft community, refers to players desperately scurrying away instead of helping their team whenever danger is around. Now, up until that point, no streamer had made any issue of this game existing. And it definitely wasn't going to be the big supporter of indie game developers who desperately fought the evil consumer rights initiative Stop Killing Games to prevent indies from imaginary legal repercussions, right? He falsely DMCA'd the game, which is similar to copyright striking on YouTube, meaning it got taken off of the Steam game store. Why, you ask? Well, Thor would likely give an elaborate explanation about how using his voice from stream clips infringes on his copyright.
And said that he was using my voice in a video game, showed a bunch of videos of it, and then put that game up on Steam. Cannot use somebody's likeness or voice in any way inside of your games without their permission.
And he'd probably be correct. Problem being that those voice lines weren't in the published game. The developer just screen recorded on his own PC as a joke. So the developer reached out to Thor clarifying this and then asking if he could drop the false DMCA on his game. So obviously Thor did the most kind-hearted and sensible thing.
We're gonna take you to court. You're going to lose.
Jesus Christ. This legal abuse ended up pissing off an actual lawyer who then took the case to fight PirateSoftware's false claim for free of charge. Which, there's an entire substack with more details. I'll put it in the description if you're interested. But the situation basically ended as we're now used to, with Thor lying, doubling down, deflecting, and blocking any criticism until he finally dropped the DMCA. He lied about his EVE Online skills to make himself look better, deleting any comments debunking them. He lied about TV show Mr. Robot to go viral, again, deleting the comments questioning his claims. He abuses his huge audience to mass report players he dislikes.
He began assaulting lobby caravans and threatening to get solo players banned who lashed out at him when he zerged their caravans with 40 players.
Oh, hey, wait, this guy's gonna get banned from the video game. I'm gonna report the shit out of this guy.
Tech, there's allegations with proof. He even fakes his voice to sound deeper.
It's our first time out here at Denver Comic Con, and there's so many people, and they love the games.
This is complete garbage. All of this can eat shit then.
He keeps lying to make himself look better. What are you, the Elon Musk of Twitch? Why does he think he can keep doing this? Why does he get to enforce his elitist thoughts as undisputed facts throughout the online game dev community?
I worked at Blizzard for 7 years.
Yes, we know, but that doesn't give you the right to...
I've been in the gaming industry for about 20 years. I used to work at Blizzard Entertainment.
I said we know. Although you never really were a game developer there, were you? See, he got into Blizzard through nepotism because his dad had an important role there.
My dad is the WoW guy from South Park. He was the cinematic director for Blizzard for 23 years.
And half his time there was spent as QA or test engineer, meaning he wasn't a game dev. No, he tested what the game developers made. And then the rest of his career there focused on cybersecurity. Again, not game development. They are two entirely different ways of working, and I can see that because for someone constantly critiquing others, his code, while potentially good in other roles, is fucking terrible for game development. That's probably the main reason his Kickstarter game is now so so delayed, people are now asking for refunds. And I'm not saying that any of those jobs are less important than that of a game dev. I have friends in cybersecurity and I would not know how to do their job. And QA is crucial and often sadly looked down upon, because frankly, a lot of people in the game dev industry are elitist, which is why I made this video, because I hate the elitist rhetoric Thor spews. It brings me back to my time studying for my game dev bachelor's in university, where so many students would act kind, but then use bragging, lies, or insults to fabricate authority over you and make everyone around them feel inferior. Third years would degrade first years. Even teachers would support the idea of looking down on students studying in IT fields outside of game development. And I fucking hated it. It made me develop imposter syndrome. So I couldn't stand seeing a popular streamer normalize this behavior, because it shouldn't be. It's already so common that my recruiter at Arrowhead Game Studios told me he screened me for it, because if they don't, they'll often recruit ego trippers like that, incapable of dealing with criticism, who are unable to function in a team setting so often that they gave them the nickname Brilliant Dicks. Because they act brilliant, but really they're just dicks.
That's awful, dude. No. Eat my entire ass.
Just know that if you were, like me, on the receiving end of such individuals and ended up feeling inferior because of it, try to ignore them and focus on proving them wrong. I didn't know jack shit about game development or programming at the start of my bachelor's, yet at the end, I ended up completing challenges that they couldn't, because instead of learning from the people around them, they were too busy sniffing their own farts. Can I confidently say that Thor is a confirmed narcissist? No, because I don't have a psychology degree to back it up. What I can say, however, is that while Thor might believe the delusion that he's some uniquely gifted genius deserving to look down on everyone around him, well, for me, he's just another brilliant dick.
I can see how easy it is to manipulate people emotionally to gain money on the internet.
Yeah,
And I don't ever even want to get near that.